I think it's safe to say over the last 12 months that the ticketing industry in the UK has lost the ability to deliver tickets to the public at face value. The attacks on ticketing systems are so sophisticated now, and on such a scale. It's not just from UK touts who are being attacked, it's from touts overseas, organised crime groups. And I think it's fair to say we've lost the ability to sell tickets to genuine fans at face value. That's how bad it is.
So what, I'm not going to name any names, but what would a ticket for a big arena cost at face value, and what are people maybe having to pay for them?
It depends. I mean, some of the what you regard now as cheaper tickets in some of the bigger arenas, you're looking at £70, and we've seen £70 tickets up for sale at 5, 6, 7, or sometimes 10 times face value, depending on the act or the artist. We've seen on the football sector, we've seen £87 face value tickets sold to Japanese sports tourists for between £2,000 and £2,200 each. The money that this criminality generates is now in the hundreds of millions of pounds, and the only people that are suffering are genuine music and sports fans.
And I'm interested about the point you raised in your first answer about the professionalism and the scale of this. We're not talking now about people stood by the gates of the nearest railway station or bus stop saying they want to buy and sell tickets. We're talking about international crime syndicates, you say?
Oh, there are some very serious and organised crime groups involved in this, and they've been involved for a number of years. There's plenty of evidence there. There have been a few convictions overseas and a couple of convictions in the UK. But yeah, Chris Allison, who was the Assistant Commissioner at the Metropolitan Police for the London 2012 Olympics, turned around and said that this was a facet of organised crime. And he was absolutely right in 2012, and nothing's changed since.
I'm sure some people will say, well, hang on a second, big artists, big sports teams are multi-million-pound operations in their own right, the ticketing platforms even more so again. Why can't they stop this? I'm sure that efforts will be being made. What is currently being deployed by industry at the moment, at least?
The industry's been battling this problem for many, many years. The problem you've had is a lack of enforcement of existing legislation and a comprehensive ban on this level of activity, this type of activity. I see every single week ticketing companies, businesses, venues, event organisers and promoters, football teams, rugby teams that are constantly coming up with new methods to stop these attacks taking place. Data scrubbing, facial ID verification. These groups are so sophisticated. These are the same groups. The technology is the same that fools banks. And when you get to that level of sophistication and criminality, the only solution is to go after the unauthorised resale platforms through which this criminal property is being resold. And in the interim period before legislation, I think the National Crime Agency and the Serious Fraud Office should look at that relationship between the unauthorised platforms and the touts that are criminally attacking ticketing systems.
So we're hearing names like Radiohead, Coldplay, Lipa are calling for action. If you were to go as their emissary to the government to say, look, this is what we need to do, what would you be saying to them?
A ban on above face value resale. If you allow the listing of a ticket above face value on a website, you're fined £20,000, the same as was done for the 2012 Olympics. Make the legislation supranational, so you can't set up a website in Spain or Cyprus or Malta and then just simply target the UK from there, and put provision in place to jail directors of the websites that persist in breaking the law. The other thing is put a mechanism in place to work with top-level domain registrars to suspend domain registration. So a rogue website operating overseas could be taken offline straight away. Very simple.
Ticket fraud expert Reg Walker, really interesting to speak to you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.